Bienvenidos, bienvenidas. We are in the magical medieval town of Erice in Sicily. We're going to talk about its amazing sacred history, but first this is Latina Literati. Erice is a mountain town, and it currently is just filled with these massive walls. The outer walls are as old as the Punic Wars. That puts them at about 500 to 700 years before Christ. We're talking about almost 3,000 years that this has been a walled city. Amazing. But even before then, 10,000 years ago, we know that there were temples throughout the Mediterranean, and one of the most important was here, to the goddess Astarte. Astarte is the Western way of saying Ishtar. So you have, before the civilizations that we consider most antique, the Roman, the Greek, the Phoenicians, there were the Sumerians, there were the Canaanites, and there were others, and all of them worshipped the goddess Ishtar in the east, Astarte in the west. And here in Erice, there was a very important temple with a sacred fire that sailors could see from far away. And they would know that the protection and the benefits and blessings of the goddess awaited them, and safe harbor could they come to the area around and make their way up the mountain to this amazing temple that existed for millennia. In fact, this temple was so important that during Roman times, it had its own group of soldiers that their only job was to protect the temple and those that worked there, and those that were offering sacrifices to the goddess Astarte. The original goddesses were the embodiment of all that humankind wanted, coveted, lusted. And so the goddess represented not just carnal lust, but the things that men wanted. So for example, war, winning war, and hunting. The goddess Astarte represented all of that. Quite interesting, because when you get to the Roman times, the goddesses are split up. So you have Diana, who's in charge of hearth and hunting, and then you've got Venus, Aphrodite, who's in charge of love. So they start to get a little bit more specialized during the Greek and Roman times, but still fascinating that we're talking about something that came out of current-day Lebanon, current-day Syria, that's at least 15,000 years old. That is the worship of the feminine divine, the worship of the goddess and what she represented in the world. Fascinating. In any case, Erice finds its entry into the Mediterranean as this important place, and it's been so ever since.
Near the sea where foaming billows roars the circling choirs of mortals thy delight, beautiful lips with thy cerulean bright, pleased by dusty banks renowned of old, to drive thy rapid to your car of gold, or if been Cyprus with thy mother fair, married women praise thee every year, and beautiful virgins in the chorus.
So you have the Greeks arriving, you have the Romans, you eventually have a small church built next to the temple, so that you have a transfer of worship from the goddess to the Virgin. And so slowly but surely the temple is subsumed, and as Christianity is named the official religion, temples are torn down, but Erice continues to be an important place because it is a place from which the entire Trapani area of current-day Sicily can be protected. It's at the top of the mountain, so it's fortified, and it is important. The Normans eventually arrive and will build even bigger fortifications. The Spanish arrive and build even larger fortifications. And Erice is almost a mythical place because it is so high that there's like a 10-degree difference between the coast in Sicily and the temperature in Erice. Not only is it magnificent, mostly pedestrian, but you wander through the alleyways and you just understand that this place is very special. You can feel the energy, you can feel the just the vibe and the views and the people. It's a wonderful, wonderful place. It's, I would say, one of my favorite places on earth. That's how special Erice is. And now for my favorite part of the video, the book recommendations. And the first book is, of course, Aphrodite. Who was this goddess? What is her story? Where does she come from? What did she represent? What was her place in human history? Absolutely central. Goddess worship for the vast majority of our existence as human beings on this earth has been central. So this book, and any book that talks about what our beliefs were thousands and thousands of years ago and how religion was a part of every aspect of life in ancient time, is worth reading and exploring. So recommend this book, and as always, check your library, check your local booksellers, because we want to support our libraries and we want to support our local booksellers. The second book is called The Middle Sea, and it's the history of the Mediterranean. And as I keep mentioning, we now see the Mediterranean as different parts, but for the vast millennia, the Mediterranean was seen as one giant world. That was the known world of the people that lived there. So whether you were Phoenician and you wanted to trade with people in Sicily, or you were from North Africa and were going to go visit relatives in what was called before Hispania, now of course the Iberian Peninsula, but just fascinating. This was a complete world, and this history really allows you to understand the connections that held the people together on so many levels, not just trade, not just families, not just beliefs, but there was an interest and a diversity that allowed the thriving of so many different types of people in this vast area of the Mediterranean. The last book I'm going to recommend is officially The Leopard by Lampedusa. Now, this is a classic Sicilian work. It occurs when Garibaldi is uniting Italy, and what that means in terms of the civil strife here in Sicily. You have the landlords, and you have the serfs, and you have those working, and of course you have a lot of intrigue. But this really gives you a sense of what Italy is like as Garibaldi is trying to unify it, and it's quintessential in its Sicilian character and how it allows you to really take a look at society at that time. It's just fascinating. And as I mentioned before, there's a classic movie with Burt Lancaster and Claudia Cardinali, which is amazing. And then there's a new series as well that has redone it. So really worthwhile, highly recommend it. Wonderful, wonderful book and story. So thank you so much for joining us on this joint journey. I love to share these stories with you, and I hope you enjoy listening to them and hearing them. And we'd like to hear from you. What is it you'd like us to present, to talk about? So thank you. Con mucho cariño, mucho salud. Gracias.
With holy reverence, my